Welcome back. While police-reported hate crimes have declined in Canada, according to the latest data from Statistics Canada, anti-Muslim hate crimes have increased by 44%. Studies show that hate crimes are the most underreported types of crime. In an effort to raise awareness and encourage the public to report such crimes, the National Council of Canadian Muslims has launched a National Hate Crime Awareness Project that includes a social media campaign and an online map to track hate crimes and incidents reported across Canada. Ihsaan, Gardee, Executive Director of NCCM, is here with us today to help us learn more about this initiative. Welcome to the show, Ihsaan.
Thanks for having me on, Aisha.
So I know NCCM currently, you guys develop annual hate reports, but you recently also launched this hate crime awareness campaign. So tell me a little bit about what your motivation was behind launching this campaign.
Well, it's a hate crimes and a hate incidents campaign, so there's two components to it. We launched this campaign after receiving more and more reports regarding hate crimes and hate incidents, and we were really concerned about it being accurately captured in the media, captured and being able to discuss it with politicians, with policymakers, so that there was a real sense of, just what is the level of anti-Muslim sentiment that is prevalent in the broader society as a whole. We launched it in conjunction with the release of the 2013 data by Statistics Canada, looking into hate crimes, police-reported hate crimes, and we have to be clear, these are police-reported hate crimes in 2013. And what we noticed was from 2012 to 2013, there was a significant increase in hate crimes targeting Canadian Muslims, 44%. Of those 44%, 33% were violent in nature, and 47% targeted Canadian Muslim women, something that as well we thought it was important to bring attention to as well. What the report stated as well was that the reason why women seem to be overrepresented could be due to the fact that, for example, women who manifest their faith by wearing hijab or niqab are much more visible in terms of being targets. So we noticed that there was a gap between we're halfway through 2015 now, and we're only getting the 2013 data. So we felt it was important to try and fill that gap so that when we're speaking about these issues in the current context, we have a sense of just how much of this is happening, how much of it is going on. Our own internal data tells us for 2014 that we've actually seen an increase from 2013 as well. So we really wanted to bring awareness to the issue, to highlight the importance of reporting. What we know from, for example, Justice Canada calls underreporting the dark figure of crime. And Statistics Canada has said much of the same thing. Studies have said, for example, one study that was done on hate crimes, that up to 2/3 of hate crimes go unreported. So people don't choose to report for a variety of different reasons. They worry about retaliation, they worry about, they just want to put their heads down and ignore it. Maybe they're concerned, they don't want to bring attention to themselves. For example, for the LGBT community, they have an additional fear that they don't want to be further victimized by the police as well, through homophobia from the police. So there's a number of different reasons why people don't choose to report, but we felt it was important to bring about this campaign to stress the importance of reporting as a way of accurately being able to have an idea of just what's going on, so that when we speak with politicians, when we speak with policymakers, when we speak with bureaucrats, when we speak with media, we're able to speak from a position of knowledge, and knowledge is power, as they say.
So how do you think this campaign is really going to help address some of those fears? And I can give you, just thinking off the top of my head, one example. I checked out the online map, and currently, I think a week ago, there were about 13 cases that were reported. So for someone, for example, say I, experienced a verbal attack, for example, I go online, I think about reporting, and then, I think, okay, why draw attention to myself again? It's already being reported. So what added incentive do I have?
Well, we can, in terms of the actual reporting process itself, we are open as well to anonymizing individuals and institutions. We had one institution report recent vandalism to us. They did not want to be named, but we felt it was still important to be able to capture that incident. I think it's important as well to give people that sense that their experience is real, and that it is something that people are aware of. We had one case of a Muslim woman walking with her husband in the park, and somebody started shouting verbal abuse at her, calling her all sorts of names, anti-Muslim slurs, and she reported it to the police, and the police said, well, it doesn't meet the threshold of a crime, there's nothing we can do. So they walk away feeling extremely despondent, extremely, disturbed by the fact that there seems to be no way to actually capture this, and nobody's listening. And so we thought it's important for us to be able to capture this information so that people really know that this is not something we're making up, it's not something in our heads. And also to emphasize that this is not about Muslims being victims or saying that we're victims. This is about reporting hate crimes and hate incidents so that we can have this open discussion about it and we can actually talk about solutions.
So tell me a little bit about the campaign. I know there's the online map and that's being promoted a lot, but there are various other components to the campaign.
It's a three-pronged campaign. The online interactive map that we've created is a first of its kind, as far as I know, for hate crimes tracking. Is a map, basically a Google map with pinpoints, so you can see where incidents have occurred across Canada by category, so whether it's verbal abuse, physical assault, vandalism, online hate, so people have a sense of just what kind of activities are occurring, where they're occurring, and where there's more information available. For example, if there's been media coverage, when you click on one of those pin drops, a second pop-up will appear describing the incident, who was involved, what occurred, and as well media stories if there are any.
Does it also capture the outcome of a particular incident?
The outcome, I think, is part of an ongoing process. We haven't. This is still very new for us, so it's something that we would certainly be open to considering. If there was a conclusion, for example, if the culprit was caught and there was a follow-up story, I think that would be an important element to capture as well,
Definitely.
to give people a sense that this is something that's actually being taken seriously. The other elements of the campaign, we have a poster and a flyer campaign going on. So we've created posters that are being sent to and distributed to mosques and community centers and ethnic businesses across the country. They're available for free. Anybody who wants them can contact our organization. The website is nccm.ca, so that's N like November, CCM like Mike.ca. And the flyers as well are being distributed at mosques across the country during Ramadan as a way of informing people. On the flyers as well, there's a QR code, so people can just take a picture with their camera, with their phone, and they'll automatically be redirected to the reporting an incident section of our website, just to make things even easier for people to report. And finally, the last element is the social media campaign, which we've launched as well with the hashtag #ReportHate, just to bring further attention to this issue and to make sure that people are sharing it on Facebook, on Twitter, so that we can encourage more people to report.
And how are some of the other organizations that you guys have partnered with contributing to the campaign?
Well, when we launched the campaign, we launched it with a press conference on Parliament Hill. And we had a number of other faith communities and other minority communities represented. We had representatives from the World Sikh Organization. We had Mr. Bernie Farber, who is the former CEO of the Canadian Jewish Congress, representing the Jewish community. We had Roger Love from the African Canadian Legal Clinic, as well as Ryan Dick from EGAL, one of Canada's foremost LGBT organizations. And we felt it was important to have all of these diverse perspectives, because hate crimes and hate incidents don't just target one community. We know that the Jewish community has been targeted for a long time in terms of attacks and police-reported incidents. Their group has the highest level in terms of religious groups. African Canadians are still the most targeted by hate crimes and hate incidents. So we felt it was very important to be able to have their perspective there, to capture the lived experience of a broad and a diverse group of individuals who are experiencing this phenomenon, so that we can say that this is something that we need to tackle together.
And how do you think this is helping some of the anti-Muslim sentiments that we are unfortunately seeing? But I think, to a certain extent, I think campaigns like the hate crime awareness are definitely helping foster that.
Well, what it does, I would like to think that is, it certainly encourages communication and dialogue about these issues. It brings them to the forefront. This is something that's happening. It's not imagined. It's not something that the community is just saying is happening for whatever reason. As a way of opening up those channels of communication, creating dialogue between people. What we found is that study after study after study has shown, whether it's from the Pew Forum, the Trudeau Foundation, or more recently, for example, the Reasonable Accommodation Report in Quebec, the more interaction that people have with Muslims, the more positively they tend to view the faith of Islam and Muslims in general, which makes a lot of sense if you think about it.
Yeah.
And obviously people will have more opportunity to run into Muslims in urban centers versus in the rural areas, so it makes sense that sentiment would be greater probably possibly outside of urban centers, but at the same time where people are concentrated, you get people running into one another, so sentiment can also exist there, and anti-Muslim incidents and hate crimes can occur there as well. And just by population, you'll probably see a prevalence there also. And so what each of these studies has confirmed is, as I said, the more interaction people have, the more they tend to stop seeing people as two-dimensional cardboard cutouts. You begin to realize that, okay, well, somebody might dress differently, they might have slightly different dietary habits, and maybe they pray differently or call God by a different name. But at the end of the day, we have far more in common than what makes us different. We all, worry about our kids paying off our university tuition and our student loans.
Story of all of our lives.
Yeah, and once you start to see that universality of the human experience, you begin to realize, wow, we actually are a lot more in common than I thought.
Well, and the environment is definitely changing. I know when the Cold Lake mosque vandalism happened, you had the entire community, Muslims and non-Muslims, come together to clean it up. So it's definitely, highlighting that as well.
Yeah, these kinds of outreach efforts are critical, and it has to be a two-way street. So seeing the residents of Cold Lake, Alberta come out to help clean the mosque was extremely heartwarming. But we can't wait until incidents occur before we start building those networks, before we start building those relationships, because we want to do that kind of work in advance, proactively. One, because it's just something we're commanded to do in the Quran. We're commanded to know one another and to get to know one another. And secondly, because it actually helps us to have allies when an incident occurs targeting our community, to have people who will stand shoulder to shoulder with us, just as we should stand shoulder to shoulder with others when they're targeted by hate.
So where can people go to learn more about some of the other campaigns NCCM is working on?
Well, they can visit our website, as I mentioned earlier, nccm.ca. And one of the campaigns we're working on right now, as we're in the middle of Ramadan, is our Ramadan fundraising campaign. NCCM is Canada's only full-time Muslim human rights and civil liberties organization, serving 1.1 million Muslims across the country. We operate on a shoestring budget. We have 2 full-time staff and 3 part-time staff, as I said, serving the entire community across the country. We don't accept any foreign or any funding from any foreign government or foreign organization, so we're entirely funded by Canadians who give on a lump sum basis or on a monthly basis as part of our monthly contributor program. And if people want to sign up for that, we most welcome that, because it's important for this organization, just as it's important for other organizations, to be developed, to grow, so that we can actually build the capacity that we need to address these issues, whether they're occurring in Regina or in Halifax or in Port Coquitlam. Anywhere they happen, we need to be able to have a presence so that we can assist people on the ground.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Ihsaan.
Thanks for having me.